to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The prayer will be offered today by the lady from Montgomery County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're welcome, and good morning, everyone.
Good morning. A reading from the Buddhist text, The Way of the Bodhisattva. May you become, at all times, both now and forever, a protector for those without protection, a guide for those who have lost their way, a ship for those with oceans to cross, a bridge for those with rivers to cross, a sanctuary for those in danger, a lamp for those without light, a place of refuge for those who lack shelter, and a servant to all those in need.
Amen. Amen. Quorum call.
Madam Speaker.
Okay, got this. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. The clerk will call the roll. There being 132 members present, the House is now in session. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. The clerk will read the journal from the previous day.
Annapolis, Maryland, February 4th, 2026.
Recognize the Deputy Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So much be considered the reading of the journal.
So order petitions, memorials, and other papers. Appointment. The clerk will read the appointment.
Resolved that the Speaker makes the following appointment: the Honorable Tiffany T. Alston, Deputy Parliamentarian, by order Sylvia Seegert, Chief Clerk.
Hearing no objection, the appointment is adopted. Consent calendar of introductory House Bills number 32. The clerk will read the first bill.
House Bill 900, Delegate Taylor, Appropriations.
Recognizing the Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're welcome.
So much be considered the reading of House Bills 900 through 925.
Hearing no objection, the bills are read the first time and referred to the appropriate committees. Consent calendar of introductory House Bills number 33. The clerk will read the bills.
House Bill 926, Delegate Ruth, Ways and Means.
Recognizing the Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So much be considered the reading of House Bills 926 through 958.
Hearing no objection, the bills are read the first time and referred to the appropriate committees. The clerk will read the bond initiatives and the committee assignment.
Introductory House Bond Initiatives number 17, February 5th, 2026, referred to Appropriations. Introductory House Bond Initiatives number 18, February 5th, 2026, referred to Appropriations. Introductory House Bond Initiatives number 19, February 5th, 2026, referred to Appropriations.
Done? Okay. All right. Special order calendar, House Bill number 1. The clerk will read the bill.
House Bill 1, Investor-Owned Electric, Gas, and Gas Electric Companies Cost Recovery Limitations. Favorable report is amended, adopted.
Thank you. Recognizing the chair of the committee.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I was the maker of the motion, and I have deferred to my colleagues for any additional amendments.
Okay. Recognizing the gentleman from Southern Maryland. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Speaker.
Good morning.
So, Madam Speaker, I have an amendment at the desk. It's amendment number, let's see, 683123/1.
Amendment number 1.
Move so much be considered the reading of the amendment, Madam
So
Speaker.
order.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're welcome.
This amendment, Madam Speaker and members of the General Assembly, its purpose is to amend House Bill 1 so that when you receive your electricity bill, it includes an itemization and an explanation of all charges on your bill, which is currently not really being done, including the hidden charges on your bill that have been a result of the policies of this body in Annapolis. That is really important. That's what the amendment does, Madam Speaker. And what are some of those hidden charges? To be fair, some of these are on the bill, but most aren't. And they're certainly not.
Thank you for explaining the amendment.
Thank you. I'm learning the new strategy here, so
Thank you.
getting it.
You're doing fine. It just makes it easier when you get up and you explain the amendment.
I think that's fair.
And I appreciate it.
So let's look at some of the bills, some of the itemization items on the bill that have been imposed by this body, imposed by government. The Renewable Portfolio Standard, well, that's not itemized on the bill. There's nothing on the bill that says, Annapolis has run up your electricity prices because they're forcing your electricity company to buy really expensive power at a time when you can't even afford your electricity bill to begin with. In SMECO's territory, it's $140 per year and increasing rapidly. The Empower Maryland surcharge, which is a line item on the bill, but it's not explained. It's just a line item, and the purpose of this amendment is to explain to people what's actually happening. Because you're getting the calls too. What's happening? So it should be a really friendly, common sense amendment. Empower surcharge, well, it goes up as your electricity prices go up. And the higher your bill is, the higher the Empower surcharge is. So imagine how high that grifty little line item is going to be on your electricity bill when you get it. Then there's the environmental surcharge, which is a per kilowatt hour fee funding the state's power plant research program. A research program about power plants. How's that working out? Why are we paying for that? Because it's not working. Then there's the Electrical Service Universal Service Program, which is a fixed monthly charge of 36 cents, supporting bill assistance for low-income households. That should be a line item. I believe it is, actually. The grid, and I'm just naming them all. Then there's the grid infrastructure mandates. It's a requirement under law that the Climate Solutions Now Act for utilities to invest in upgrades and electrification. That is not itemized. And that line item is a hidden tax, massive hidden tax in your bill that is truly unsustainable. Then there's the franchise tax. I mean, so many taxes. All of these are taxes. A state-imposed tax on utility gross receipts passed through to the customers. Then there's the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative. One of the biggest hidden taxes there ever has been. A tax paid by the utilities, but obviously passed on to you at a time when you can barely afford your electricity bill, and many people can't afford it at all. Then there are the congestion and capacity charges. You know what that is? That's a massive charge for transmission because Maryland is a net importer of electricity. So because we have closed power plants and not replaced them before closing them, that was brilliant, by the way, not only do we not have enough electricity, but we're having to pass on, the utilities are, this massive congestion and capacity charges across the transmission lines that are going into Pennsylvania. In fact, you're hearing, I'm sure you've heard before, all of these new transmission projects coming from Pennsylvania. Our ratepayers are going to pay for those too. That charge is rapidly growing on your electricity bill, and it's hidden, and it ought not be. So this amendment, Madam Speaker, is an amendment that includes all utilities, not just the investor-owned utilities. It amends the bill to include all utilities so that we have, for the first time in Maryland, truth in billing, so that the people of Maryland know what they're paying for, what it is, and they can have an intelligent conversation with their elected officials about whether it's something that they truly support. It's all hidden now, so they don't even know what's going on. Why are we hiding it from them? Well, we know why. We know why. Because the real purpose of HB 1, which this amendment intends to fix, is to blame everything on the utilities. And there's no doubt the utilities are not innocent all the time. I want to make that very clear. They're not. But why don't we also take responsibility as a legislature of what we've done to the bill to make it unsustainable? Because literally, we have caused the problem. This body has caused the electricity crisis and the affordability crisis in Maryland, where people can't pay their electricity bills. It's time to pass this amendment. It's common sense. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Recognizing the floor leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're welcome.
Thank you for receiving the amendment, providing the amendment. We haven't had an enormous amount of time to go through it since it was just handed to me like 7.5 minutes ago. But with that said, I think it's important that we talk about a couple of the things that you mentioned. First of all, I think you had said that possibly that we closed power plants. We don't close any power plants. Maybe I misheard you, but we don't close any power plants. We have not closed any power plants. The General Assembly doesn't close power plants, so we haven't closed any power plants. If some of these power plants have chosen to close or they're running on RMR, it's because they're no longer profitable. So the generators are not running them. When needed, we do have opportunities to keep them open. That's directed above us. But with that said, I think that's an important piece. Number two, as far as transparency, all this information is available online. It might not be stipulated or itemized in a bill. And if that's something, Delegate, that you really want to do, I would suggest you bring a bill to do exactly that. But tacking all of this on an amendment on a bill that's really not so relevant to what we're trying to accomplish here when it comes specifically to the utilities and their profits, I just don't think it's the responsible play right now. I could go on and on about what we're doing and why we're doing it, but in this specific case, I would just ask the body to resist this amendment because, again, this is not germane to the subject at hand, which is utility profits on the back of ratepayers who are already paying 2 and 3 times more than they were just a couple of years ago. So I would ask the body to resist this amendment. Thank you.
Recognizing the gentleman from Southern Maryland.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Floor Leader.
Good morning.
I'm going to make some comments on the bill and this amendment, and then
Sure.
I'd love to hear your response. But I think we should pass this amendment, and I stand in support of it because I think we should always be on the side of transparency. But the main reason I'm supporting this amendment is because if we don't put this amendment on the bill, this bill doesn't do anything. It's like a bill about nothing. Yesterday, you made a statement that the CEO of Exelon made $14 million. And then I read the bill. The problem is the CEO of Exelon is not in this bill. This bill regulates the subsidiary of BG&E, but those CEOs only make like 1/10 of what the parent company makes. And then I started like just going down the rabbit hole of research here, and I found out that the PSC already has this power to regulate CEO compensation. And then you made a comment yesterday about jet travel of CEOs, and I'm telling you, I'm with you on that. I don't like seeing excessive spending from CEOs. I think it's extravagance that just, I'm not into. But then I look up section 4-504 of the Public Utilities Code in Maryland and find out that the PSC can already do that. I mean, it's mentioned directly in their air travel. And then you mentioned some cost savings on the bill, but that was before the bill was actually amended. So there's so much overlap in this bill with what the PSC can already do. I'm just disappointed because this is HB1. This should be the #1 solution to lower our energy prices. And this bill it's a bill about nothing.
All right.
So I
so-
support the gentleman's amendment, but at least add some transparency, but I'm interested in your comments on this. Go ahead.
Sure. As to plane travel, the reason that plane travel is disallowed now is because we passed a bill last year to do that. I said the reason that plane travel is disallowed is because we passed a bill last year to do that specific thing.
So the bill doesn't do that. We did it last year in the PSC.
We did it last year to stop them from doing that.
Okay.
That's number one. Number two, the bill as amended does put limitations on Exelon, not just the utilities. It also puts limitations on Exelon. So the president of Exelon can make $14.2 million if their shareholders think that that's just compensation, but only $250,000 of that is coming from the ratepayers. So that's it. So I think it's important to realize that piece. So that piece is incorrect. So it does apply to the larger company. That's amended in the bill. So if you just take those two things alone, I think that answers your questions, but I could go on. And one of the things that I would say, which I would reiterate from yesterday, is that I think it's in everybody's interest in this House, everybody on the floor right now, it's in everybody's interest to help limit the amount of money that these utility presidents can make and Exelon can make. I don't understand why we're having conversations about somebody who's making $14.2 million, or even somebody who's making $700,000 or $500,000 or $1 million, when there are our constituents, delegate, our constituents that can't pay their bills, or are trying to figure out how to pay their bills, or are trying to figure out how much to turn their thermostat up or down. And yet we're having a conversation about plane rides, which we already addressed. This General Assembly, in its wisdom, addressed this last year. I don't know if you voted for it or not. I hope you voted for it. With that said,
I'm sure you dropped it into some other bills.
No,
just like you were accusing of during the Senate or the bill hearing yesterday of not voting for a bill from last year, and it turned out to be heavily amended.
I'm not sure how that's germane.
Excuse me 1 second. Let's stick to the amendment. Let's stick to the proceedings here on the floor. It applies to everyone. I am an equal opportunist. I want you to follow the rules. Thank you. And let's wait till someone is done talking, okay? Thank you. And it's not personal. It just will make our life so much better on this floor. Thank you. Proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
My pleasure.
What happened yesterday is not germane to this conversation today.
But what happened last year is?
It was a vote. It was a floor vote. But with that said, again, I didn't accuse you of one thing or another because I don't know.
Go ahead, make your point.
No, I've made my point. I don't know what else to say other than
okay.
I would encourage everyone on this floor to vote for this bill. It provides some checks on how much money people can make, specifically supervisors can make, executives can make, when they are making amazing amounts of profits. Again, BG&E has tripled its profits in the last 10 years. Pepco has doubled its profits in the last 10 years. So, I mean, I think it's pretty clear to me. I will be voting against this particular amendment, and I will encourage everybody who has constituents that is concerned about their constituents' bill to vote for this bill. It's that simple.
Well, I appreciate that, and thank you for your explanation. And again, my concern is, I think through research, this bill only probably applies to 10 or 15 people in the state. I don't even think it applies to that many people. So I do find it odd that you mentioned about bills tripling, because when the bills triple, guess who the greatest beneficiary of that? It's not BG&E, it's state government and all these secret pots of money and taxes that this amendment is going to solve. If you look at your BG&E bill, approximately 30% of that bill our taxes and fees to these little pots of money caused by this chamber. And I think the amendment is just geared for transparency on that. Because when you're looking around, I find it odd that we're willing to sock it to a couple 10 or 15 CEOs that this applies to, but we're not looking at the hundreds of millions of dollars that are coming to state coffers that have really driven up everyone's bill. I mean, my bill is over $1,000, and I'm in Semetco, which is one of the cheapest electric rates in the state. People are going to be shell-shocked when they get their bill this year. And it's propagating through the entire economy. We just received a bill from BG&E of a grocery store owner. Their electric bill last month was $39,000. If you don't think this is adding price increases to everything and contributing to from groceries to whatever, I mean, at $39,000 a month, a couple months, they got to lay off an employee because that's the yearly total of what an employee costs. So I find it hard that we're not going to provide some transparency to solve this problem, and this amendment does exactly that. So I stand in support of it. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, just a rope.
Recognizing the gentleman from the Eastern Shore to my right.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd
You're
like to stand.
welcome.
Thank you. I'd like to stand and support the amendment. For 11 years, I've been on Economic Matters Committee, so I've not been able to be part of the floor debate on subjects like this. And here I am early in session on the first bill that relates to energy. And I'm going to take the opportunity to simply say that transparency when it comes to sharing information with consumers is always a good idea. This bill and the amendment helps this bill in some respects by letting the consumers know what exactly is going on with their bill. We have cell phone bills that have these similar types of disclosures. They are descriptive. They explain exactly what it is you're paying for on top of the cost to carry your cell service. If we can justify that particular exercise, surely we can take the 5 or 10 minutes here to debate this amendment, support the amendment, and do the same thing because, look, a cell phone bill, while expensive, is nothing near the cost of these energy bills to consumers today. They have a right to know. They have a right to know where the taxes are. They have a right to know what renewable energy credits look like and how that may or may not affect their bill. They have a right to know these things. The maker of the amendment, I believe, is coming from the right posture, which is to say everybody in the state of Maryland is concerned about energy bills. Everybody wants to know what's going on. Pass the amendment so they can get that answer. Thank you.
You're welcome. Recognizing the other gentleman from the Eastern Shore.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're welcome.
On the amendment, common sense, folks. Everybody in this place is getting calls. Everybody in this place is getting hammered. Why am I getting my bills higher? Why am I getting double charged? Why is this happening? One of the great things about this amendment is it sits down and it will tell the people exactly where these dollars are going. It'll tell them about some of the policies we have in this state. The floor leader made the comment that we've never closed a power plant. Well, we haven't done it and said you're closed, but look at the impact it is to buy our energy, 40% of it from out of state. Look at the dollars and cents. Let's start giving the people the opinions and showing them the data to show where these policies we have in this government are failing. They're failing everybody across the board. It's a great idea to sit back and say how noble we are to be, zero emissions. It's great. Really works a lot. But I'll tell you what, people that can afford this may not have much of a problem with these bills. But when you start looking around you and you start looking at the poor of us, the ones we are supposedly considering, they're the ones that are getting harmed the most by this. Open, fairness, let's put it out there. Let's be able to tell our constituents when they call us about our bills, here's where your dollars are going, here's what's happening in Annapolis, this is why the dollars are going up, this is why you're paying so much more. Why don't we just do something right for a change? Thank you.
You're welcome. Recognizing the delegate from Western Maryland.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise in support of this amendment as well. In my previous life, I spent 20 years almost working for a public utility, the majority of that time in the tax department, serving also as supervisor of that department. And there were many days we thought we worked for the tax collection agencies. We remitted annually over $100 million in taxes to the various collection agencies, everywhere from the locals to the state to the federal government. So This bill before us is nothing but a smokescreen. I think this brings some clarity to the bill, and I definitely support the amendment. Thank you.
Madam Speaker.
Recognizing the delegate from the Eastern Shore, and then I see you in the back, okay? I'm coming to you. Go ahead, sir.
Oh, thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're
I do have a couple
welcome.
questions for the floor leader, if I may.
Will the floor leader rise, please? Thank you.
Oh, right over here.
Good day,
So,
sir.
In your opinion, do the utility companies do a good job in explaining the fees that were outlined by the maker of the amendment?
You know, I don't necessarily want to opine on whether they do or they don't. I will just I want to stay on the bill. I wouldn't say that yeah, thank you. On the amendment deserves a bill hearing, and I think it's really important. A lot of times we say things in this like it's only common sense. It's only common sense. That is a very simplified way of looking at things that are often much more complicated. So I think it's important to look at this. Maybe this is a great idea. Let's have a bill hearing on it. Let's discuss it. Let's discuss it with our council. Let's discuss it from a policy perspective. Let's discuss it with the utilities. Let's discuss it with everybody else that has input. But to just grab something that is not necessarily germane to this particular bill and put it on without having significant legal and policy conversations in its own bill hearing, I just don't think is a good idea.
Well, the idea of the bill is to hopefully lower the costs to the ratepayer, right? I mean, this is what we're trying to do. You know, we're going to look at the salaries of these CEOs and hopefully be able to give some of that savings back to the ratepayers. And I think that if we can make a lot of these fees more transparent, don't you think that eventually, if there's enough public pressure, do you think that that will certainly help these utility companies lower their rates? Because some of the, do you agree that most people don't understand what they don't know what RGGI is? I mean, they don't know what a lot of these fees are unless it's explained to them. So do you think it's important that they know that it is explained to them? What's your opinion on that?
Sure. I mean, I think here's just one example about why I have great concerns with this amendment. The amendment is substantial enough that we don't have any idea what the cost repercussions would be to the ratepayer just to put this on. We haven't had conversations with utilities. We haven't had conversations with other organizations to figure out what would it cost for them to aggregate all this data and put it on the bill. So that's just one example of where, you know, we have pause because we don't know what the ramifications of this are. So,
well, if transparency is important to you, and I hope that it is. I hope it's important to all of us. What are we in day 30? I mean, we can send this bill back to committee and have these conversations in committee. Honestly, this is important enough and it makes sense because the whole idea of House Bill 1 is to lower the rates for consumers. And this is a great way and a great option to be able to do just that. So we have plenty of time in session to be able to send this thing back to committee, have these conversations with the stakeholders, and then bring it back to the floor.
So what I would say is this amendment does not lower the rates for our ratepayers, and we don't know if it would actually raise rates. Mm-hmm. It could, but I think we probably shouldn't just make this decision on what it could or couldn't do. We should probably do everything we can to narrow it down and make the best decision possible. And the best decision possible would be to have a bill hearing, to have a conversation, to talk with council. That's the best way we can make decisions, not by doing it on the fly on the House floor.
Send House Bill 1 back to committee and do all those things, because it's a great idea. I think we can all agree. I mean, I'm hearing all over in this area, the House chamber, this is a great amendment.
Again, I would say to the body, that's that's a whole bill all on its own. So I would ask the body to resist the amendment.
Thank you, Madam
Thank
Speaker.
you.
Recognizing the gentleman, and thank you for your patience from Anne Arundel.
Certainly, Madam Speaker. I spent almost a dozen years on economic matters and energy issues as well. And for the folks at home, part of the process is that this bill, if we adopted this amendment, would get a hearing in the Senate, or we can send it back. That's the process. Secondly, I support the amendment strictly out of transparency, because if you're so invested in the transparency that this amendment would bring and these line items that would be exposed, why not explain that to the constituency? You're invested in this. A lot of these are green initiatives. These bills are high today because of this body, period. And if you're 10 toes down on Reggie and you're chest out, then explain it. Explain what all these charges are. Explain why you've supported them. And don't worry, we're going to help you with that. I'm lining that up next. Because there's been a lot of votes taken on this floor that have led directly to the negative impact that Marylanders are feeling in their energy bills. And it wasn't by the minority party. But back to my initial point, it will get a hearing in the Senate. So we can adopt this amendment, bring transparency for the people of Maryland, which they rightly deserve, and then it will get the proper hearing in the Senate. That's the process. Don't be distracted, folks at home that are watching. This body has raised your electric bills. This body, these bills are to distract you. This is a pay no attention to what the left hand has done, look at what the right hand is doing now. Make no mistake, folks, I've watched it for 10 and 12 years down here and had to remain silent because of the second reader rule on bills that I had to hear in my committee. So make no mistake, folks, these are the folks that raised your rates. And what this gentleman from Calvert is talking about is being transparent with those increases on your electric bill. This is the same body that tied gas taxes to CPI because we don't want to vote on the increase, and we don't want the people of Maryland to see the transparency of it. This amendment seeks to absolve that. I support the amendment. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Recognizing the floor leader.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. The proper way to do this, delegate, is not to have a quick hearing over in the Senate over an amendment that we attach. The proper way to do this...
It's a full hearing in the Senate. It's not a quick hearing in the Senate.
Delegate,
Madam
please,
Speaker, it's misdirection.
let him finish. No, let him finish, please.
Madam Speaker, point of order.
Yes.
I believe
recognizing the chair of the committee.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I believe the gentleman had the floor. You recognize people to speak on the floor. We don't just get up and start talking on our mics.
Okay, and I believe when they misquote...
sorry, sir.
No.
Once again, I have the floor because the Speaker recognizes
Recognizing the parliamentarian. Deputy parliamentarian.
Point of order. The Speaker decides all matters of decorum and order and recognizes who has the floor. So it's the Speaker's discretion as to who has the floor.
Thank you. And I'm going to say it again, and I'm not going to get tired of saying it. When you get up, you make your point. I know you want to get up, and I'm not saying you, all of us, right? It's human nature to get up and try to defend your point. But please be patient, because I will recognize you. And I see all of you. And I've been very fair to call on all of you, because you all represent a community that needs a voice. So please be patient. Let the person finish their thought. Don't interrupt. And then I'll come back to you. I promise, okay? Let's go back again. Let's try this again.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam
You're
Speaker.
welcome.
So my point, and if I offended you, I do apologize. I'm not here to offend you, one directly or indirectly. Okay, so I hope you accept that. My point is that on something like this amendment, we should have a full bill hearing. That bill hearing should be public, so the public can come and testify on it, both in the House, whatever comes out of the House and goes to the Senate, and on the Senate side, and vice versa. So to take this amendment and put it on this bill and run it over to the Senate would not give ample opportunity for the citizens of this state to have input on the House side. It would just be solely on the Senate side. So furthermore, I think when things happen very quickly down here, and everybody who's listening may or may not know, and I'm sure you know because you've been down here for a while, things happen very quickly. So when we have a bill that is enumerated with a bunch of information, like specifically this, then people can jump in and they can talk about it, they can think about it, they can opine on it, they can comment on it, and they can be heard. But when it happens this quickly, which sometimes it does, people, it's less opportunity. It's less opportunity for our folks to understand it. So that's why I say, and I'll say it one more time, I would please ask the body to reject this amendment for all the reasons I mentioned. And again, dear sir, If I offended you in some way, I do hereby apologize.
Thank you. I'm recognizing the gentleman from Anne Arundel, who I said I will come back to. Thank you,
Madam Speaker. There was no
My
offense
pleasure.
given or taken on a personal nature, but what I will not allow is language like, it would be a quick bill hearing in the Senate. That's not the process. It would be a full bill hearing in the Senate with a public date of the hearing, testimony allowed to be given by both the people for it and against the bill. So I will not allow a soft shoe to the people of Maryland of some whipped up frenzy. Oh, it would just have a real quick bill hearing. That's not the process. It would have a full hearing in the Senate with a vote on the floor, and the Senate can still amend it on the floor as well, and then it would come back to the House. So that's just a little clarification for the folks in Maryland who desperately need transparency like this amendment and desperately are begging for more transparency from this body. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Recognizing the delegate from Montgomery County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I have a few questions for the maker of the amendment.
Sure.
And I want to start by saying why I support the floor leader on suggesting that this needs a full hearing. I like the idea of transparency, but I'm imagining that this would be a very long bill that we would end up with. Like people would have like 15, 20, 30-page electric bills. And here's why. If we were to articulate and break out, I'm trying to understand your kind of vision for this. So let's say we break out distribution system planning, what those costs look like. It's my understanding that the cost to the distribution planning that we required in a bill 3 years ago, I think, would show up in 5 different areas. And then, of course, because the distribution system planning requires that it shows a cost savings to ratepayers, we would have to show a cost, and then we would show a full cost benefit analysis that was done by the Public Service Commission to demonstrate why they approved that distribution system planning, resulting in approval. And so then we would have to show the savings and the analysis that led to that savings. That would be like for distribution system planning, just as one example on your list. For Empower, which is broken out, and unfortunately Empower right now just shows up as a cost. What we don't get to see on the bill is the substation that didn't have to get built because we made people's homes more efficient and had a savings of 2 to 1 on those bills in the substation that didn't get built, which would have lined the pockets of the utilities, but not the ratepayers. If we were to pull out something that led to building more solar on the system, we would see a cost. We would not see the benefit of the fact that we've increased solar and storage, which are the least cost and the quickest way to respond to the reliability issues that we're facing right now. So I think transparency is fine, but it's not just fees. The fees aren't just random fees. The fees go through cost-benefit analysis at the Public Service Commission, and there's significant savings that come in other ways. And so I'm just trying to imagine, I guess my question is, how would you articulate all of that, the complexity of these programs, and how long do you think that electric bill would be? How many pages do you think a bill would be to be able to fully be transparent, not just about when things show up as fees, but also how they show up as savings across the board for everybody in the state?
Sure. So the amendment's actually quite short. That was a great speech, by the way, to try to, which I, as far as I'm concerned, is trying to do everything but talk about the real issue, which is this body.
Gentlemen, my friend.
Yes, ma'am.
From Southern Maryland. Remember what we said about assuming people's intention.
Fair enough.
Okay, thank you so much for recognizing
This
that.
body, thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're welcome.
This body, the House of Delegates, imposed all of these line items, which are taxes. Your bill would not be higher but for those bills that passed in this body to make electricity prices higher. So try as you may to go down the path of administration and all these different kinds of technical terms which the consumers don't understand. Try as one may. They are taxes, and they are responsible And this body is responsible for those taxes, making electricity bills unaffordable. So the other thing is, I would imagine most people in my community and across the state receive their bill online. But if they don't, we're talking about a little bit of ink to be able to provide an explanation of where these costs came from, what made them happen, and the fact that they are indeed taxes, because they are taxes. And power is a tax. And the other thing is this idea that you would close power plants before there was a replacement of the power is something that would happen in the third world, not in the state of Maryland. It is shameful, shameful. Morgantown Electricity Generation Plant in Charles County has been closed for a long time. And the reason no one has been wanting to attach natural gas to that plant, other than the fact that there's a lot of environmental issues there that have to be cleaned up, granted, is the fact that companies aren't confident in the fact that if they lay natural gas pipeline, that natural gas will actually be something that this legislature will eventually make illegal. Case in point, over the interim, the clean heating rule was being promulgated in the state of Maryland that this body passed. And the clean heating rule requires everybody to get rid of natural gas heating and go to HVAC and electric heating systems. So my understanding is the Morgantown plant has since been purchased. I think that just came out. And there's a strong possibility that this policy will change. But if it does, it's years behind catching up to all the electricity needs that this state needs. So I would ask this. We import 40% of our electricity from out of state, which costs a fortune. And it's absolutely unsustainable. And the reason we do it is because the plants were closed. The Sierra Club, CCAN, lawsuits after lawsuits, the lack of predictability for people to invest in Maryland to provide energy, that's all been created by this body. So this should be, rather than arguing over whether people should know about what's on their electricity bill and how it got there, which is, I'm sorry, I think that's an incredibly weak argument. How about we just get rid of the taxes and save people and save the middle class in this state before they go broke because of the policies that have been passed by this legislature?
Madam Speaker?
Recognizing the lady from Montgomery County.
Thank you. As much as I would love the opportunity to discuss all of the components of what opens and closes plants, I'll just say that we actually still live in a free market society, and plants can themselves decide when they open and close. But on the amendment, which is what I want to focus on, I just want to say that I welcome transparency. I want to support the floor leader's point that because transparency actually requires a thoroughness that considers not just a cost, but the implications and the savings associated with it, a full bill hearing would allow for us to explain and understand and strengthen this amendment, in fact, to explain and understand not just what a distribution system planning might cost on one component, but also all the savings on the other component. And so I think if the floor leader and the amendment maker and its supporters genuinely want transparency, I do hope that this bill shows up in a bill hearing so that it has an opportunity to become thorough, transparent, honest, and I'd hope to have the opportunity to participate in that. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The question before the House is the adoption of the amendment. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
To explain my vote,
To
Madam
explain my
Speaker.
vote.
To explain my vote.
Recognizing the delegate from Hartford County. Good
Thank
morning.
you. Good morning. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're welcome.
I really appreciated that back and forth. I think we're getting somewhere good, folks. So I just want to recap. What I am hearing from the majority party is, yes, we love transparency. No, we don't think this is a bad idea. We want a full bill hearing on it. So I'm hoping, if I could just tie a bow on it, that this might be the session that we can actually accomplish real transparency. And my suggestion for a long bill, obviously, like the delegate from Montgomery County said, I don't want a 30-page bill, is to add in a hyperlink that people can go to see the full details, brief things on the bill, and then hyperlink for the full details. So I look forward to helping foster this policy through during this very 90-day legislative session. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker.
You're welcome. Recognizing the gentleman from Anne Arundel.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. To explain my vote, this is just good governance again. It's just more transparency. I don't know why we're so against transparency. I think that I understand the complexity of it, but it is pretty easy to do. I actually did it over the weekend on Perplexity, and it spit out all of the numbers. I know we'd like to talk about future savings, but I do want to put something to bed real quick. We always talk, well, we didn't force them to shut down, and it's a free market, and yeah, that's right, but to me, it's like having an affair on your honeymoon, and then you cheat on your wife every 2 weeks, and then she finally leaves you and say, I didn't force her to divorce me. But you pretty much did.
I don't even want to see that picture in my head. Go ahead, continue.
It had nothing to do with my life, Madam Speaker.
Continue with your statement. Go ahead, my friend.
I'm going to leave it like there. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
I can't even take it out of my head now. Go ahead. Whoa. Okay.
Madam Speaker.
I am going to recognize the gentleman from the Eastern Shore to my right.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're welcome.
To the Vice Chair of my committee, I do miss these debates in our committee. I'll just say that I enjoyed the energy subjects and the back and forth that relate. But for my 2 minutes, I just wanted to say that this ends up being the Truth in Billing Amendment. On the issue I was bringing with cell phones. Federal Communication Commission has truth in billing rules. That's what this amendment is. And look, it's not complicated. It's not difficult to explain. What these do is help consumers identify hidden fees. There is a summary section that shows up on your cell phone bill showing total taxes, fees, surcharges usually appear in a summary section, often constituting a significant percentage of the bill. We can have a separate bill hearing. I wonder if the legislature would allow a bill to come through rules and actually do it. But this doesn't have to be as complicated as my vice chairman is saying. People have a right to know if my bill's $500, that $300 of it is this, $200 of it is that, and maybe a breakdown to show the hidden fees as to where those two numbers come from between distribution and generation. We're not asking for the moon and the stars. We're asking for transparency. And look, this legislature this year should be doing one thing for sure, and that is being transparent with the citizens about what's going on with these power bills. Thank you.
Madam Speaker. Recognizing the delegate from Montgomery, and then I'm coming to Anne Arundel, okay?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. To explain my vote, I support, I voted red on this amendment for all the reasons that were iterated on the floor here about us needing a full bill hearing on an issue like this. But I also am interested in actually reducing the cost to ratepayers that shows up on their utility bills. And while transparency is great, the amendment doesn't do that. So I want to get on to the main bill, and that's why I'm voting red on this amendment. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're welcome. Recognizing the delegate from Anne Arundel, then I will come to Baltimore County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise in support of the amendment. I've been down here 12 years. It's gone fast. And I got to tell you, this is probably one of the better amendments I've seen. I've seen a lot of good ones, and a lot of them have failed on the floor, unfortunately. But the fact of the matter is that if this bill were to be amended to include this amendment, it would get a full hearing in the Senate. And for transparency for the folks at home, bills come out of committee amended all the time. All the time. It's the process. It's why we have bicameral government. So a bill will come before the committee, we'll hear the bill, it might go to a subcommittee where it's amended, it comes out of subcommittee, a vote is taken on the bill as amended. There's no other big giant hearing on the bill as amended. The committee takes the vote on the bill as amended, which is literally what we're doing here today. And then it will go to the other chamber and have a full amended bill hearing, period. That is the process. So I love this amendment. I appreciate the amendment maker and what you're trying to do. I think this is the right time for this amendment, and I'm happy to stand in support of the transparency that this amendment would bring to the people of Maryland.
Recognizing the Vice Chair of the committee. Good morning.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So I don't stand up often, but I wanted to actually explain my red vote on this amendment because I want my constituents to understand that transparency is also very, very important to me. And we have had a PhD in energy policy over the last 3 weeks in my committee. And what I have learned actually is how complex and dense it is. And so I want to stand to say that this amendment offers selective transparency. It doesn't offer clear transparency. And in support of what the Vice Chair of ECM has suggested, I like the idea of a hearing on this committee so that we can let people know where their money is going and how it might actually be benefiting them. But we have to be willing to do both. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
You're welcome. Recognizing the gentleman from the Eastern Shore.
Madam Speaker, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
I guess this is HB1, folks. This is the big one. This is the one we're going out there with. And what better time to sit back and let the people know that we care about them? I think dollars and cents return on this bill giving to the people is minimal at best. And we're taking Exelon, let's say, and we're villainizing one company in the line of saying, oh, we're going to save you money on your bill. Why don't we look at other things? Why don't we itemize so the people actually see what's being done? They can associate the dollars with policy and let us be held a little bit more accountable to make the right decisions. To sit back here and take Exelon or some big utility and make them the bad guy for the dollars and cents on it, the bang ain't worth the buck. It's just crazy that we're doing this. We got other areas we can look at this thing. We want to talk about the C fund. We want to talk about other parts of your bill. You can start looking at the 23 nonprofits that get about $16, $18 million of your CEF money, and they get that just for salaries. I support the amendment. I think transparency is important. I think people need to know what's happening in this General Assembly and need to itemize that so they can actually look at that. When I get charged for my phone, I can actually see. I don't see minutes anymore, which is great, but I can get it broken down for a whole lot of things that I can sit back and wrestle with the company about. Pass the amendment. I wish you'd change your vote. My green vote stands. Thanks.
Explain my vote.
Yes, recognizing the delegate from Baltimore County. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. To explain my green vote, this is a very simple, easy amendment that just adds transparency, as we've all discussed. I'm glad we have a new standard now when committee bills get amended here on the floor coming out of committee. We need to recommit them so they can have a hearing on that amendment. And I'd also like to mention that I have a bill today in Ways and Means that's sponsor only. So we also entertain bills without a hearing and pass or fail them. So we aren't recreating the wheel. This is a great amendment that will serve our citizens well as they are looking at their bills and figuring out where is all that money going and how am I going to pay it. Thank you.
Has everyone recorded their vote? The clerk would take the call. There being 100 votes in the negative, the amendment fails. Are there any additional amendments to the bill or to its title?
Madam Speaker.
Recognizing the gentleman from the Eastern Shore.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I have an amendment to desk number 753025/1.
Amendment number 1.
Okay. I got a real simple amendment, but will the floor leader rise for a question?
Madam Speaker, can I just ask a question if you don't mind?
Sure.
If you yield for a second. Were you able to send us a copy of the amendment?
It's at the desk.
Okay.
Did I send you one? No, I'm sorry. I put this amendment in this morning.
So let me just give a reminder to folks. I have no ability to access anything that's at the desk. So the committee always asks. You've heard many of my colleagues get up many times and say, as a courtesy, please provide us a copy of the amendment, and that way we can actually engage with the amendment. And you might remember, sometimes we actually do accept the amendments.
1 second, one at a time. The
But
floor
it's
leader.
helpful to, thank you, Madam Speaker. It's helpful to have the amendment to do that. So we just appreciate that as a courtesy, but happy to yield back, and thank you.
Thank you.
And since we have, I believe, 69 dates left, and I'm not counting, just kidding you. Please, as we move forward, when you have amendments, I remember being chair of a committee, standing on the floor. It is nerve-wracking, okay, to defend the bill or to get up and ask questions. Please provide the amendments ahead of time so people have time to think about them, and in the morning as well. This is just an opportunity to refresh that rule, okay? Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, will the floor leader rise?
The floor leader? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're
Just
welcome.
a brief one. I apologize I didn't get you the amendment. I thought they would bring it. I apologize.
Thank you very much.
My question comes in where we are tying this this bill to the Public Service Commission salary. Can you explain that a little bit more to me?
Well, the Public Service Commission chair and the board are the regulators. Excuse me. They're the regulators for energy. So it seems like a nice kind of common refrain that they both work together. Okay. So they're the regulator, energy, BG&E, Pepco, utilities, energy, both executives. So it seemed to make sense.
Okay. Let me just explain what my amendment does. It's pretty basic. It's pretty simple. The amendment stipulates that from this point forward, we actually bring the Public Service Commission's salaries and we get to vote on them as a whole in the General Assembly. That's what the amendment does. So it's not just we just put it in the budget and get it. I want us to actually take that vote. And the reason I bring that up is that I don't know why this is in there and why it had to be tied to that, but if you look at something like this and you say that as the PSC's salaries go up, so can the bonuses with Exelon. And I see that and I sit back and say, on one hand, we're going to try to prevent Exelon from getting these bonuses or what have you, but we're allowing them by increasing the salary to PSC to make that bigger. I just don't understand the logic, and I would rather have the General Assembly vote on their salary so we all understand that.
All right, so thank you. What I would say a couple things. One is that it's what the Public Service Commission makes is in the budget. So when the budget comes out, you can address it. It's a line item in the budget. So that's a way for you to address it directly. That would be the way that I would suggest you do it because it's already in the budget. So you have an opportunity to address it.
But look at nobody's given me a good reason why this is in this bill. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me why they would be doing it. What is the rationale for tying it to the Public Service Commission? We're talking about a private business.
Well, yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Go ahead.
So what I would say is we're not capping. Again, I think it's really, really, really important for people to understand. We're not capping what they can make. We're just saying that they can make up to $250,000 of ratepayer dollars. If they want to make $5 million, they can still make that, Delegate. They can. The shareholders can pay them whatever they want to pay them. So if you think that that's low or you think that it's high, we're just given like a base. That's it. And you know, as you can see by their profits, they can make as much as they want.
Well, we could do that
as much as their shareholders will allow them to make. They can make.
We could do that by cutting the rate. We actually set the rate of return for them. We could do that and let them manage their own business. I can't put it together in my head why the PSC's salaries matter in this bill. It doesn't make any sense. It's just an opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, what I would say, and I would stipulate it again, it's because this is all about energy, and they're all about energy, right? So it's about utilities, it's about energy, it's about distribution. That's what it's all about, and that's what the Public Service Commission does. That's their job. So the head of the Public Service Commission would seem to have a lot in common when it comes to how germane the subject matter is. That subject matter is germane to both parties, which is why that was selected.
Okay, and I agree. I understand that, but we're looking at a bill here. We're looking at talking about this to sit back. Why don't we go to the people, like I said about CEEF? Look at CEEF. Look at those 23 companies. Why don't we tie it to that? Why don't we sit back and look at what they make and tie their bonuses and tie their salaries to something like that? It's a lot of money, and if we're going to start associating something with something, let's go right down the line because it's all affecting the ratepayers.
Right. Again, I would say, and I would stress to the body to resist this amendment. You can already do this, Delegate. It's in the budget. You can do it anytime you want. So again, I would ask the body to resist this amendment. It's not needed. You're already able to do it. Thank you.
Okay, on the amendment, I urge you to push the amendment. I don't see a reason why this is in the bill. It kind of convolutes things. I think it actually points to if we can pay the PSC a little bit more money, that means we can pay Exelon or one of the big providers a little bit money. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I
You're
move to
welcome.
push the amendment.
So the question before the House is the adoption of the amendment. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, say no. The clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? The clerk will take the call. There being 100 votes in the negative, the amendment fails. Are there any additional amendments to the bill to its title?
Madam Speaker.
Recognizing the gentleman from Southern Maryland.
The parliamentarian, Madam Speaker.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. That was just the roll. Colleagues, I know we're off to a running start, and I guess I do need to pay attention. As a parliamentarian, just remind you.
Are you telling us you're not paying attention?
I'm focused on the subject matter, not the procedure,
Okay.
so I do apologize.
All right.
But I just want to remind everybody, I know nobody's moving in bad faith, but the desk may have your amendment, but please, you are required to make sure that the floor leader, or at least the chairman, does have the amendment before it's discussed on the floor. I think it's Rule 51C. So, and again, just make sure that you physically take a copy to either the floor leader or the chair as required by the rules. And you can't assume that the desk is going to do that, because not only are they busy, but it is not their obligation. So we just want to make sure everybody can keep caught up. So just don't forget, I know we're off to a running start, and I know by the time we get to the end, everybody's going to remember, but don't forget to give it to the floor leader. Thank you very much.
Madam Speaker.
Recognizing the gentleman from Baltimore County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I was reminded this morning in my mind that when you became Speaker, the first thing you said on day one was, we have 90 days. We need to be open and transparent. We need to be kind. We need to be gentle. And we have plenty of time to work bills out. I feel I want to refer this back to committee. Make a motion. Thank you.
Madam Speaker.
I recognize the chair of the committee.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would ask the body to resist a motion to recommit. We have many, 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 many energy bills pending in the Environment and Transportation Committee. I know you all have many things to say about all of them. I know there'll be many amendments in committee. There'll be many amendments on the floor. I'm sure we'll see some repeat customers in terms of the sponsors and the makers of those amendments, as well as the subject matter. There will be many opportunities to discuss this issue. This bill has had many days of discussion on the floor. We did 2 courtesy special order motions. And I would ask the body to resist the motion to recommit and send this on to the Senate. Thank you,
The
Madam
question before the House is to recommit House Bill 1.
I press
Do
the
you put
issue.
the motion? You got the motion?
Roll call.
Yes, I heard you. 1 second, please. Yeah. Okay, the question before the House is to recommit House Bill 1. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The clerk will call the roll. I heard you.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? The clerk will take the call. There being 100 votes in the negative, the amendment fails. Are there any additional amendments to the bill or to its title? Recognizing the minority whip.
Just clarification from the parliamentarian, if I could.
Yes.
So does 51C require us to give you the amendment a day in advance?
It says a copy of each amendment offered on the floor shall be provided to the chairman of the committee reporting the bill. I did not say a day in advance.
Can I give it to you 7.5 minutes before the discussion?
I believe, while that may cause some consternation and later ramifications to the committee chair, of course you can. Again, I was just reminding people, because even a few minutes to prepare is more than a surprise.
But just for clarification, just so my members understand, our members are not required to give an amendment in advance as long as it's done immediately before the discussion. Is that fair to say?
Madam Speaker,
Yes, recognizing the parliamentarian.
thank you. I do believe, again, those are the rules. And again, however we choose to move forward, that is obviously up to the amendment maker. I do believe we're collegiate, and although we may disagree on policy, we tend to try to work together, not catch each other off guard, surprise, or embarrass each other on the floor. However, the path you choose to take is up to you, and the response obviously will be, I'm sure, commiserate to the respect that is given.
Yeah, my preference is just to stick to the rules. So thank you, Madam Speaker. I appreciate it.
And that's why I read it specifically, just in case you're confused.
Are there any additional amendments to the bill to its title? Seeing none, hearing none, the bill is ordered printed for third reading. Letters of reassignment. The clerk will read the letter.
House Bill 564, reassigned to Health.
Hearing no objection, the letters are ordered journalized. Oh, you have more? Yeah. All right.
House Bill 586, reassigned to Ways and Means. House Bill 704, reassigned to Appropriations and Ways and Means.
Hearing no objection, the letters are ordered journalized. This ends the work at the desk. I want to thank everyone for being civil and for a good discussion. Recognizing the Appropriations Committee.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The full
You're
committee will
welcome.
not meet, but please listen for subcommittee announcements.
Economic Matters.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Economic Matters will be meeting at 1 p.m. for bill hearings.
Environment and Transportation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The House Environment and Transportation Committee has a fiscal briefing that I believe will start at 11:30, but keep an eye on your inboxes, followed by bill hearings at 1:30.
Government, Labor, and Elections.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. GLEE has a briefing at 1 p.m., bill hearings at 2 p.m., and we are voting this afternoon after bill hearings. Thank you.
You're welcome. Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Health Committee has a briefing at immediately after floor, followed by a briefing at 1 p.m., followed by bill hearings immediately after our briefing. Listen for subcommittee announcements. No, I'm kidding.
Judiciary.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The House Judiciary Committee will be meeting today at 1 p.m. for bill hearings.
Ways and Means.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Ways and Means Committee will hold bill hearings at 1 p.m. today in the committee room. Thank you.
Thank you. Subcommittee announcements. Recognizing the delegate from Howard County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're
the
welcome.
Transportation and Environment Subcommittee of Appropriations will be meeting today at 1 p.m. in room 150.
Recognizing the delegate from Montgomery.
Thank you, Madam
You're
Speaker. The Health and Social Services Subcommittee on Appropriations will be meeting at 1 p.m. today for a our budget briefing with the Maryland Department of Health and a brief voting session after. Thank you.
Recognizing the gentleman from Baltimore County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're welcome.
The Education Subcommittee of Ways and Means will be meeting at 12:30 today for voting.
Any other subcommittee announcements? Seeing none, we're going to go to delegation announcements. Recognizing the delegate from Montgomery.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're welcome.
Montgomery County colleagues, please listen carefully. We're meeting tomorrow morning virtually at 10:15, and then we are taking our delegation photo at 10:40 at the stairs inside the State House. So 10:15 and 10:40 tomorrow.
Recognizing the delegate from Anne Arundel.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Anne Arundel County delegation will meet at 8:30 a.m. on Zoom. Please arrive on time. We have some votes and some bill hearings, so please make sure you attend.
Recognizing the Minority Whip.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Frederick County delegation has a virtual delegation meeting tomorrow for discussion and possible vote session. Thank you.
Madam Speaker.
Recognizing the delegate from the Eastern Shore.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Eastern Shore delegation will be meeting at 9 a.m. tomorrow via Zoom.
Thank you. Recognizing the delegate from Carroll County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're
The Carroll
welcome.
County delegation will be meeting tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock virtually. Thank you.
Recognizing the Vice Chair of the Judiciary Committee.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Charles County delegation will meet virtually tomorrow at 10 a.m.
Recognizing the Chair of Prince George's County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Prince George's County House delegation will meet tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. via Zoom. Thank you.
You're welcome. Recognizing the delegate from Southern Maryland.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Southern Maryland delegation will meet at 9 via Zoom. Thank you.
Recognizing the delegate from Baltimore County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Baltimore County delegation will meet at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, and wear your best. We're going to do a picture after session.
Any other delegation Recognizing the chair of the Women's Caucus.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. As a reminder, colleagues, if you have bills for which you are seeking a letter from the Women's Caucus, please, we are meeting on Mondays. Today is the deadline for next week's letters. Today, close of business if you are seeking letters of endorsement from the Women's Caucus. Thank you.
Recognizing the co-chair of the Vampire Caucus.
Thank you very much. I know everybody is, Madam Speaker, I know everybody is eager to find out the results of the blood drive. It was very successful. We had 44 units of blood, and only 6 people were turned away. So this compares to last year when we had 19 units of blood. So we have made it a big, big stride forward. And I want to thank my co-chair, the delegate from Anne Arundel, who has done such a great job in publicizing it and energizing interest in it. And also from the delegate from Baltimore County, who has spoken from the heart a couple of times to encourage people to do this. As many of you know, this is my last session and my last year in the General Assembly. I'm not running for re-election, so I'm looking for someone to take this on in the future, to run the Vampire Caucus. Hopefully we'll have at least one person that's still here that knows what we've been doing, but please don't let this die out because I leave. I really think it's so important that we keep the lifeblood of our state flowing. Thank you so very much.
Delegate, you will be missed. We appreciate your work, and we will find someone to continue your legacy. Recognizing the delegate from the Eastern Shore. Good morning.
All right, so the Rural Caucus, our deadline for bill review is next Wednesday, so please check your inboxes for instructions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Recognizing the delegate from Prince George's County.
On behalf of the Latino Caucus, to please be sure to turn in any bills that you would like the Latino Caucus to consider. We will be meeting tomorrow at 1.
Any other caucus announcements? Seeing none, we're going to have now the Black History Moment, and it will be presented to us by the wonderful delegate from Prince George's County. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Madam
You're welcome.
Speaker. Good morning. This morning's Black History Reflection is a reminder of how my history challenges me to do, be, expect, and demand better. A reminder every time I hit the green or red button, I was created for such a time as this. Down the hall in the old house chamber stands a life-size statue of my 5th-generation great-aunt Harriet Tubman. I go down sometimes sitting with that statue, sometimes staring, sometimes crying, continually processing the challenges of my childhood in foster care, subjected to serious abuse and neglect in a system supposedly designed to protect and improve my life. Another relative of my aunt said her mother told her during difficult times, "Remember Aunt Harriet, if she could endure, so can you." I believe during my childhood and today when I struggle in so many ways and situations, deep down inside, that voice speaks to me. I believe that voice spoke while working at a Ponderosa in Hamilton, New Jersey as a teen, being told I alone, the only African-American waitress, had to share my tips with coworkers because I made more tips than anyone else. I was given the option to share my tips or leave. I left. I received harsh rebuke from my adopted mother. When my junior high school guidance counselor told me foster children don't fare well in college, my adoptive father agreed and told me I should get a job working with my hands. I arrived in Washington, D.C. with determination, working 3 jobs to earn a college education, tired, frustrated, wanting to give up. As an intern on Capitol Hill in the office of a Republican lawmaker, I believed I would be one who helped bring opposite sides together. I became unbelievably deflated the day I left when my evaluation said I would never be hired to do that work again, and a written note indicating I was just a jack of all trades and a master of none. Aunt Harriet served in the Union Army, providing multiple capacities during the Civil War. Her life, a reminder we must be willing to be a jack of all trades when necessary, never accepting the minimization of those who want us to believe, despite our contributions, that we're the master of none. My aunt used her singing voice as a secret exchange, steering slaves through an underground railroad to freedom. I used my speaking and singing voice to steer and influence people toward mutual love, authentic communication, and a commitment toward respect and appreciation of the undeniable values of all mankind. She fought for women's suffrage, raised money to build Freedom School during the Reconstruction era, donated her home to care for the sick and elderly. People often ask me why I do the things I do, why I give so much, work so hard, don't always listen to recommendations to slow down. My answer is my purpose and passion don't need permission to obliterate the poison that continues to impact people. I lost my firstborn Gabriel, who passed due to seizures and a brain injury, something his 6th-generation great aunt also experienced. I felt like giving up, initially making a decision not to run for office. I believe that voice, one I still didn't recognize, reminded me, remember Aunt Harriet. If she could endure, so can you. Our history becomes relevant when we recognize we didn't inherit just the bloodline, but the knowledge and truth of who we are as a people, the value we bring to the table every day, and we determine to be change makers of history. My message for you today, remember Aunt Harriet. If she could endure, so can you.
Thank you, Delegate, for sharing that moment, and we're so glad you're here. Personal or guest announcements. I'm going to recognize the Chair of Prince George's County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Colleagues, we have joining with us today several students from the Prince George's County Community College who are here for their advocacy day here in Annapolis. The Prince George's County Community College is one of our great community colleges here in the state of Maryland. So if you can just give them a rowdy welcome as you see them walk the halls. Thank you.
Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and good morning. I want to, each year as I do on this day, I want to pay tribute to my brother that passed away 3 years ago today, complications of cerebral palsy. And he is the reason I got involved in public policy, and he is the reason that I care so passionately about disability policy. And I think that he's with me every day, and I think that he'd be very proud of the work that I'm doing and the work that I'm getting to do with all of you. So I miss you, Jay.
Madam Speaker.
The gentleman from Montgomery County, we're sorry about your loss. Know that you have so many friends that love you here and a lot of support.
Madam Speaker.
Yes, recognizing the delegate from Prince George's.
It gives me great honor to recognize my dear friend, the Director of Faith and Community Partnerships, Reverend Roz Roberts, and her group today, Interfaith Works, who are in the gallery behind me. If y'all stand and wave. Thank you.
You're welcome. Recognizing the delegate from Baltimore City, thank you for being patient.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Colleagues, it is my honor and privilege to welcome to the House of Delegates my great friends and colleagues of the Maryland Association for Justice Day in Annapolis. The Maryland Association of Justice represents over 1,200 trial lawyers throughout the state of Maryland and advocates for the preservation of civil justice, of the civil justice system, the protection of the rights of consumers, and the education and professional development of the trial lawyers that serve the citizens of Maryland. I'm proud to stand with MAJ members on many different issues and policies because we are the ones that are having the front row seat to all of the trends and issues that arise in the courthouses across this state and how those the decisions we make here play out in the outcomes in the legal process. So MAJ members will be visiting you all in your office, but today we have several members in the front gallery. If you guys wouldn't mind giving them a rousing welcome to President Mike Winkleman, attorneys Chris Norman, John Yaffe, Neil Dubovsky, Allison Dodge, and some of my law school mates, David Muncie, Kristen Mack, and Matt Rogers. If you could give them a wonderful round of applause. Appreciate you guys. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're welcome.
Madam Speaker.
Recognizing the delegate from Frederick.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're welcome.
There will not be a meeting of the Karaoke Caucus this evening, so members can attend the Taste of Maryland, but we will reconvene next week. Stand by for a subcommittee announcements.
Maybe you can have a little singing at the Taste of Maryland.
Madam Speaker.
Recognizing the delegate from Prince George's.
Thank you, Madam
You're
Speaker.
welcome.
Colleagues, I rise today to recognize Maryland Community Action Partnership, who are here today for their Advocacy Day. They've been doing incredible work for 50 years. These agencies help Maryland families across the state meet basic needs, now serving over 207,000 residents each year. They provide essential support like early childhood education, emergency energy and housing assistance, and food access. Please recognize them today and join them at 11:45 at Aqua L2. Thank you.
Recognizing the delegate from Montgomery County, the Vice Chair, ACL, then I'll go to the Vice Chair of Economic Matters.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The sure way to sustain our democracy is to make sure that our young people are thoroughly engaged. I want to thank everyone for giving these two young people who are here observing us today an opportunity to see how the debate ensues. So please help me welcome my intern, Marwa Mamdani, and my shadow of the day, student at Mount St. Mary's, Kimberly Hernandez.
Recognizing the delegate from Montgomery.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. In the
welcome.
gallery today, as has been mentioned, we're joined by leaders of Interfaith Works. I just want to say a little bit more about them and the work that they do in our communities. Interfaith Works is a 501c3 nonprofit that provides emergency shelter, supportive housing, employment programs, and other essential programs to our neighbors in need in Montgomery County. The way they work is that they engage with those they help is critically important. Many of the staff and board members themselves bring lived experience to the clients they served. At Interfaith Works, there's no otherness between those receiving services and those supporting them. Particularly now, when so many are struggling, Interfaith Works delivers vital supports and services, and we thank you.
Thank you very much. Recognizing the gentleman from Baltimore City.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're welcome.
Colleagues, please help me welcome two of my student shadows for the day, Giovanni Carvola for University of Maryland and Jaden Joyner of the Morgan State University.
Recognizing the delegate from Western Maryland.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're
I would
welcome.
ask that the body also please join me in welcoming Joseph Straka to the gallery today. He is shadowing us. He's a student, Mount St. Mary's, resident of Thurmont, studying accounting and law. So please welcome him to the gallery. Thank you.
Recognizing the delegate from Southern Maryland. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I have
welcome.
great honor today to wish a happy birthday to the brother from the other mother, my younger brother, Matt Morgan.
Permission granted to use the delegate's name. All
I
right.
apologize. Can I speak his name again, please?
Are you asking for permission?
Yes, please.
Yes,
Thank
go
you.
ahead.
My brother from the other, Delegate Matt Morgan.
It's okay. It happens. You were excited. Recognizing the delegate from Prince George's. To my right, and then I'm coming to my left. Thank you for your patience, everyone. Go ahead.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Madam Speaker. I have the Maryland Student Legislature shadow of the day, and her name is Helen Diana Paredes Jeronimo. She is a student in accounting, enjoys Taekwondo, and wants to be a lawyer. She's a proud graduate of Northwestern High School Wildcats, and is now in a class of 2029 at the University of Maryland at College Park. So welcome.
Recognizing the delegate from Prince George's.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're welcome.
Colleagues, help me welcome Joshua Hatch, who's also in the back gallery. I hope he's still here. But he is also here with the group Maryland Community Action Partnership. But more importantly to us and to me is that he has been appointed by the governor, chair of the Returning Citizens Task Force, which this body approved and passed a couple of years ago. So please help me welcome Joshua Hatch.
Recognizing the delegate from Baltimore County.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Please welcome with me my shadow of the day. I'm going to ask him to stand because I don't know if he made it to the gallery. There he is. Augustine Nakwe. He has a 4.0. He's a student at the University of Maryland. He went to the Community College of Baltimore County. I'm very proud of that. I used to serve on the board there. And he participated in our annual legislative program last year. So please welcome Augustine. Really happy to have you.
Recognizing the delegate from Baltimore, from Baltimore City, then Prince George's.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like the House to recognize my shadow of the day, Naomi Greer from Carroll Community College. Thank you.
Recognizing the delegate from Prince George's. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Today I'd like to introduce my shadow, or the shadow of the day, from Mount St. Mary's University. Name is Marion, I hope I have the correct last name, Fode.
Welcome. Recognizing the delegate from Howard.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would also like to welcome a shadow today that I have from the Maryland Student Legislator, Dante Pujals. Dante is in his final year of at Carroll Community College. Please join me in welcoming him.
Recognizing the delegate from Montgomery County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So also I'll need to recognize my shadow, Jonathan Howell, a graduate of Damascus High School and in St. Mary's College in Public Policy. Thank you, Major.
Recognizing the delegate from Montgomery County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I am not rising to recognize a shadow of the day. I rise to welcome my wonderful sister-in-law, Chrissy Fabicek, who is here today as part of the administration team of the Community College of Baltimore County for their Advocacy Day, along with other members of the Maryland Association of Community Colleges. Welcome, Chrissy. Thank you.
Recognizing the delegate from Prince George's.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I am rising to recognize my shadow of the day. Her name is Rafaela Sully. She's with my legislative aide in the gallery, my legislative aide, Zipporah Sewell. Rafaela attends Morgan State University. She's a political science major. She's from South Burlington, Vermont, and she serves as the political science, the president of the political science organization at Morgan State University. Please welcome her with me.
Recognizing the chair of the Ways and Means Committee.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Colleagues, I rise to recognize the doctor of the day today, who is Dr. Catherine Kelly. Dr. Kelly is a Howard University graduate. She owns her own primary care and practices as an internist in Silver Spring, Maryland. She also provides primary care to homeless shelters and runs the Homeless Medical Respite Center. Additionally,
Welcome. Recognizing the Vice Chair of the Appropriations Committee.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I too have a shadow announcement to make. I'd like everyone to help me welcome Afi Stella Dochu, a student at the University of Maryland, Shady Grove, studying to be a doctor of nursing.
Wonderful. Recognizing the delegate from Prince George's County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to recognize all of the shadows that are here today. If we could give them a rousing round of applause. All right. Especially mine, Ava Rolina. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Parliamentarian. You're doing it. Any other personal or guest announcements? Yes, recognizing the delegate from Prince George's.
Madam Speaker, I'd like to recognize my shadow for the day. Her name is Ugonia Mtumbe Ibe. She's a freshman at Morgan State University, and I'd like to say welcome.
All right. Any other personal guest announcements? All right. So let's do quorum call.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their presence? The clerk would take the call. There being 135 members present, the House is still in session. I want to take a minute to say thank you to the clerks for dealing with all. What you don't see is the amendments they get and everything else they're doing behind the scenes to make sure that we run efficiently. And I want to also thank DLS for all the bills that they're drafting on our behalf, and everyone here that helps us do our job. Recognizing the Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move that the House stands adjourned until Friday the 6th at